All right. Well, we got Nicky Paraggio here on the show. It's been a while.
It's been a while since I've been on.
Yeah, one of our podcast producer and content creator, and then today's episode is a special one. Also, we'll have like a little series going that you created when you were there, but it's about the auto show. What's new? Who won these awards? And New York Auto Show is the biggest auto show, so it's crazy. A lot of really fun time. You and Steven went, and then it's also special because we get you the media passes and you get to go there before
It's a really special
before
time,
even
yeah.
I get to go there.
Yeah, no.
So-
it's a really special time having the media passes because you get so much more access to the cars, right? Because let's say even come the second day, like the two cars that Hyundai unveiled, come the second day, they're in a set that you can't go in them. So the first day, you're actually able to walk in a lot of these cars that they don't give the public, and even the second day, the media access to. There's only one supercar you can go into, but same thing. Come the second day, they stop allowing you to go in it. And so that's what's cool about the media days. Not only do you get to see stuff get unveiled at their press conferences, you get more access to vehicles. So that stuff is cool about it. And then it's just a fun time. It's a lot of work. Like especially the first day is a pretty like crazy day. You know, they jam-pack the schedule where you have a whopping 5 minutes in between press conferences. So like, you know, Hyundai's ends at, let's say it was like 10:20 or 10:25, and then you got 5 minutes to walk to Kia or vice versa. So they kind of jam-pack schedule.
All right, so let's run through your day here, but let's start off. So any exciting? Did you meet anyone exciting or anything crazy like that? So how'd that go? Because I know you're there for 2 days. So
Yeah, so the most exciting person I met was James Bell from Kia. He's their head of public relations. I was upset I didn't get as much of his time that I got to, but he was a cool person to talk to because he said he sets up a lot of these events. Like that's kind of like his job is to set up these events and then stay a little afterwards to talk to the media, but he doesn't really have a lot of time to talk to the media. So he gave me a cool story of his background. Like he started in Kia in like 2016. He said his family was like, James, why are you going to work to Kia? Because I don't know where he worked prior, but he's been in the industry for a while. And he said he knew some stuff that was coming out that like the public didn't know yet. And that point in time was like the Telluride and the Stinger were like things that were coming out. And he went into a backstory of they used to go to some type of conferences or something and they would hide the logo of Kia and they would show consumers the cars. And they were like, I love it, I love it, I love it. They'd take the tape off and they're like, oh, I don't want a Kia. And stuff like that was what went into their rebranding. And he said the rebranding of the new Kia logo, the different colors, take out the red and everything like that, was like a night and day difference for Kia and their sales and the point of view of the consumer. So a lot of that stuff went into their rebranding. That was cool to hear from him, like that was it. But sadly, he wound up talking about the Telluride a lot. I wanted to talk about the other stuff, and in the whopping 4 minutes I got him, he wound up talking about
that's probably longer than anyone else got though.
Probably, but that's the most he talked about was the Telluride, because I tried asking about the World Car Awards over the last 2 years, right? Because they won one this year, last year, and then he went and talked about the Telluride, and he felt special about it because he said for it to win World Car Award of the Year when it's only available for sale in North America and the Middle East were the only place that the Telluride was available for sale, he thought it was pretty special for that car to win the World Car Awards when it did. But I mean, the World Car Awards, like we'll get into that because that's what you attend.
I mean, the Telluride was a ranked top car for.
It was six,
like year after year after year.
I think he said 6 years it was ranked top car. 6 years.
I mean, it's
in a row.
still a phenomenal vehicle. People are still all over it.
Because for the World Car Awards, they take journalists from around the world, from all different outlets. They take journalists, and that's how they pick out the World Car Awards. So he thought it was special for that vehicle to only be able to be in sale or on sale in two different aspects of the world, and journalists around the world recognized it for what it was. So I was upset that he talked about the Telluride a little too much and said it wasn't about what the press conference was, but
is what it is. So now that we're talking about the World Car Awards, let's start knocking them down because when I looked through them, a few of our brands are represented here, which is huge.
One of the cars we don't have.
And
in
I
the
mean,
States.
it's great for us, but it's phenomenal for the consumer because now the
Yeah.
consumer knows that their car is extra special.
Yeah, so one of them isn't in the States, but it is still from one of our brands. So that's what you start off with. Like you have a breakfast, which over the years has gotten worse. Right? You used to get like an actual like buffet breakfast. Last 2 years, you get like danishes and bagels. That's it. And we were the other ones that said that. Like we were sitting at a table and the guy, that's been going for 10 years, he was trying to explain to someone. He's like, dude, I'm telling you, like this isn't what the breakfast.
Don't worry for the dealers. It's not much better.
Yeah.
But a lot of guys like to have dinner after, so it's like hors d'oeuvres, some good drinks, but it's nothing crazy.
So they start off with that, and I think the first thing they did was what was her name? Samjong Lee or something like that. She won World Car Person of the Year. She's the CEO for BYD. So it's a little annoying to see BYD get more recognition, a Chinese automaker, if I give my personal opinion on that. But then the first car that they went on into there, I didn't list them in order, but the first one they went in was the World Urban Car, which was the BYD Seagull. That was the first car that won it. So, I mean, obviously, we've known it. JK talked about it. Like, these Chinese brands are going to start getting more recognition.
Oh, for sure.
They're not for sale in the States yet, but this doesn't matter for the States.
They're made very, very, very efficiently. They're very affordable, and now they could charge
I don't even know
quickly.
I don't know what their price point is, but...
Yeah, no, they're a lot more affordable than a Tesla, and that's like their biggest competitor, I would say, at this time.
Definitely, yeah.
I mean, obviously, our OEMs are starting to really compete. Like the Korean brands, Hyundai and Kia, really compete with an affordable EV, which is awesome to see because they know the Chinese are creating a good product.
When we get to last segment of the one press conference I had about the shifting EV landscape, we can go into the affordability because I had some cool graphs up there that really showed some problems. That was definitely more so about problems that we're going to face in the coming years with certain like 35% of sales we have to reach and whatnot, which basically they think is unreachable for certain aspects. But the next car that won one was the ID Buzz, won the World Car Design of the Year. I'm not a fan of it. I mean, I'm not, but I was a little
shocked by that one too.
I was also I think it's unfair that one because most of these cars tend to be either vehicles that released this year or ones that technically haven't gone on sale yet. For instance, like last year when the EV9 won, or maybe that was 2 years ago, the EV9 one, I forget exactly. I think it was last year. I don't remember. We didn't actually have them on our lots yet. So most of them aren't even actually hitting lots yet. So the ID Buzz was at the auto show last
Also, they're designing these cars very far in advance, too.
Correct. So, and the journalists get to see that. So the ID Buzz was available last year. Like, it was at the auto show last year as a production car, not just as a concept car. So I found that interesting. It's the first time that a car like that has won an award that has actually already been in the public's hands. So I found that interesting. But we got a funny comment because the guy, he used to be the chair for the World Car Awards, but I think last year he technically retired, but he was still there this year to announce that, and he has a German accent. So the comment we got when we posted the World Car Awards video, someone was like, what did he say? Did he say Volkswagen?
I love the
He was like,
accent.
did he say Volkswagen ID Bus? And Steve had a comment. He was like, Volkswagen ID Buzz. So I found that funny, but it's because they're from around the world. Like, he's from Germany. One of the other guys he announced.
It's a German manufacturer. So,
well, he's not a part of Volkswagen. He's a chair for the World Car Awards.
Oh, okay.
So, and then like one of the other guys announced an award. He was from Mexico. So like those different accents that the people hear, like the World Car Awards, like they're from around all over.
Makes sense.
So they did have, I think, 2 representatives that announced awards from the States. So that was cool. The performance car kind of expected to win. It was the Carrera GTS.
It's a no-brainer.
It was up against, I think, the M5 and the Taycan, the other Porsche.
Okay.
Their electric car. I think that was what it was up against. But so the GTS won the world performance car. The luxury car, I think, was stupid. So the EX90, the Volvo, it was up against the Panamera.
People love the Volvo around the world.
It was up against, maybe I'm just biased because I like Porsche, but it was up against the Panamera and the Macan. And so I'm like, there's no way the Volvo's going to win.
The Volvo's more popular than you think. Remember, you're in the States.
I am in the States, but I'm like, there's no way this thing's going to win. And then the woman's like,
don't get me wrong. I choose Porsche a million times over both.
So the envelopes are from KPMG, and she's like, this is a tightly sealed envelope. She's like, I can't open it. She's like, people always ask if we know prior. And then she's like, and the winner is the Volvo EX90. And I'm like, what? I'm like, really? But like you're saying, like, it's popular around the world, so I'm not understanding that aspect of it. But then electric vehicle of the year was the Hyundai Insta or Casper Electric, depending on what country it is. But that's really like a European car, because it's a really small EV. So every automaker designs some type of car that's for countries like that.
Makes sense.
So like we don't have small roads like the EU has. I've never traveled to the EU, but I know that they have.
Oh, they're tiny.
They have really small roads.
Even when you go to South Korea, like it's like mini trucks everywhere.
Yeah.
So
that's why, like, think about the Ford Maverick, right? That wasn't even necessarily designed for our market. Yes, it's a good truck for people to drive in the city, but it was more so designed for the EU due to their tight roads. You can't drive a Silverado out there. You can't drive an F-150 out there.
Forget where I was that for the first time. Oh, so Australia, they have like the smaller trucks. Like you'll see like the Rangers, the Colorado. They're bigger than the EU, but I saw a Silverado, like a full size. I was like, holy.
Was it big for that country?
it looked like a monster truck out there. So
Yes.
I was shocked to see it. I even told my wife Lexi, I was like, wow, I never would have thought it would have made its way out here, but it was impressive. I mean, the guy, he had a fully loaded one. It was sweet, but
I believe it. But yeah, our country's roads are just different than others. So the Casper.
oh, we like
the Casper's
America,
not,
baby.
Yeah, the Casper's not in our market, but it did win because, like I said, it's the World Car Award, so it's journalists from around the world. So they're not just basing it off of.
still good for the Hyundai brand though. That means they're
Correct.
still producing vehicles because at the end of the day,
It was a cool looking car.
if they're
First time I
making
saw it.
world vehicles that are really being recognized like that, they're doing something right. So,
Yeah.
all
And
right,
then-
now let's go into the showstopper the car that I really
The
like.
EV3, that won World Car Award, World Car of the Year. So that's the most prestigious award because any vehicle that is, I guess, that's up for World Car of the Year is technically eligible for any of the other awards. So, but it did win World Car of the Year, and that's the most prestigious one. And those Korean brands have won it actually 3 years in a row, with the EV6, the EV9, and now the EV3. It's won it all 3 years in a row. Maybe it was maybe 1 year was the Ioniq 6. No.
Might have been that. It was Ioniq.
It's
I think
Ioniq
it was
6 and then EV9. Yeah, Ioniq 6, EV9, then EV3.
Yeah, so Hyundai and Kia both.
Hyundai and Kia. So the Korean brands have
Winner for Healey Brothers because we have Hyundai and Kia.
Yeah, they've been getting crazy recognition, and I got to give them a lot of credit because post-COVID, a lot of automakers stopped doing press conferences at auto shows. Like, for instance, Ford did do one last year, but like when they unveiled the new face design, maybe it was 2 years ago, the F-150,
Yep.
like they held their own press conference in Michigan for that. And a lot of that happened post-COVID because auto show, I don't even think it was a thing in 2020. So a lot of automakers started going to the auto show. Like, for instance, BMW didn't even have a section, right? That's a big automaker. They didn't even have a section. So let alone that, then the press conferences, a lot of companies have stopped having press conferences. But Hyundai and Kia have had one all of the last 4 years that Steve and I have gone. They've had a press conference regardless of what they were releasing. It's like last year, Hyundai didn't even release anything crazy. It was about like the off-roading Santa Cruz. But they make sure to put themselves out there.
Yep. Well,
Right.
they also Hyundai and Kia do it as well because they're always traveling the world a lot more. So
It's smart.
they also do their meetings. So they have a lot of big meetings there. They have top dealers there. So
It's just
a
super
special
smart.
event. And yeah, it's a good way. You can see it both ways. But I enjoy the auto show as a dealer. They go and talk to you about other stuff. They show you. They tell you some private things that aren't always released. So it's a good time to interact with them, and you're getting some high profile executives that are there. So it's awesome.
their
to see.
CEO's there. Munoz is there, and
Yeah, Munoz is always there, and he's the global. He's the global CEO.
Yeah,
now.
something Lee, Sungjan Lee, and then Randy Parker. They were
Yeah,
the
Randy
people-
Parker's the North American.
They were the people who ran their press conference. There was one other individual. I'm forgetting her name, but they had a lot of their CEOs and actual people there. Like
It's great to hear.
So they take it seriously though. Like what I was saying. Like even last year, even though they didn't really have anything crazy that they were unveiling, I want to say it was a Santa Cruz XRT. It's nothing crazy, but they make sure to put themselves in that public's eye. Like we're at the largest auto show in the world. Don't get me wrong. You have LA, you have CES, you have the Chicago one, you have the one that's up in Canada. So there are other auto shows like all over the place, but the New York Auto Show is the biggest one. So I give them a lot of credit that regardless of what they're unveiling or what they have to show the public, they make sure to have a press conference. It's just really
Well, they want to talk to the public. They also want to. They want to get that out
it's
there.
really smart. So, and then the first press conference we went to, if we want to like go into that, was
Yeah,
Kia's.
let's jump into Kia.
That was
press
Kia's
con- What'd
press
you hear? Anything good? Any tips before the public needs to know?
So they didn't really give any like tips before the public knows, but they just unveiled 3 cars that are going to be available. They're not 100% sure. Like James Bell couldn't even answer the question for me on when the K4 and EV4 are actually going to hit the lots. But the K4 and EV4 were they're big.
Also, what plays where he can't really answer is the tariff thing too. So that plays.
I didn't even bother trying to ask them questions, but
It's going to be
imagine.
certain releases for all OE manufacturers.
Well, I guess Hyundai did actually touch on it a little bit, but in a different way.
I didn't mean to
Touch
interrupt.
on-
Let's
I can touch
keep-
on that
let's
later.
keep
That's
knocking on
about their
these cars.
plan. So the first thing they brought out was the K4 hatchback, right? So last year they unveiled the K4 sedan, and that was their big unveiling last year. So this year they revealed the K4 hatchback. So I love hatchbacks. I've owned 2 hatchbacks, and for me, it's not even about the cargo space. That was kind of their big thing, was about the cargo space that you get with a hatchback. I just like the design of it. So the K4 hatchback was a really cool looking car that they designed, but honestly, that wasn't even their biggest unveiling. They they showed the EV4, so that's their sedan, right? The EV6 we've had, kind of like a hatchback design, not really. It's almost like a smaller SUV.
Yep.
The EV6, it's a weird looking back of the car, so I couldn't even actually explain what.
And show some.
I don't even know
some,
what segment the
some
EV6.
pictures of it.
Yeah, I
when,
got
when you
time.
put this
I
together.
don't know what segment the EV6 falls under, but it's not a sedan. So, and then they have the EV9, which is basically a Telluride that's in.
No, I think
it's an
the
electric
EV6 is falling in that crossover area.
car. I think so.
I think
I just
that's
couldn't
where it's
really think
going.
because the back is kind of interesting because it's
They're
shorter.
so they try to like categorize all these different segments
Yeah,
now.
'cause
It's
I
it's like
couldn't
pain in
even
the ass. You should see the report. Like some OEMs will categorize something in something, and then you go to like an overall report, and they have two in the same one. You're like, what the hell? So they're trying to be the best in that
Yeah.
segment. They're breaking out extra segments, but
Yeah, so
that's not the point. As long as the consumer likes it, we're good to go.
There was two things that was big about the EV4. The fact of that it was the EV4 and then their iPedal driving. So if you've driven an EV, I drive one, like one pedal driving where you don't have to use a brake or anything. So Hyundai and Kia's iPedal, you couldn't use it in reverse. There's paddles on it to change the level and to turn it on or off. And anytime you would put it in reverse, it would turn it off. And anytime you would turn the car on or off, I think it would set it to level 3, not to iPedal. So not only did they unveil the EV4, which has 330 miles of range, and I think it can charge from 10 to 80% in 29 minutes, which is a fast charge time, right? Because some cars are still over that 30-minute threshold, so every automaker is trying to optimize their batteries to be able to charge a level to get it at least under 30 minutes. So that was the EV4 itself with its specs. They talked about the design where they focused a lot on the drag of the vehicle. So it's a really smooth car. The body line, even the angle that the hood is at is like a really weird angle almost, but it's all for drag. So they added these weird, like 2 spoilers on like the roof, which were like interesting locations for like these spoilers. And there's like a raised lip, but they talked that it's all about drag because they wanted to get to that 330 mile range, which is a lot for an EV. I mean, that's what all automakers are aiming for. I mean, when you look at EV trucks, they get a lot more, but they can fit a lot bigger battery in trucks compared to sedans. Then they talked about the iPedal, that now you can use it in reverse. It's called iPedal 3PO. You can use it in reverse, and you don't have to turn it on or off when you turn the vehicle on or off. So those are the two big things they talked about with the EV4 itself, was all the specs of it, the design, and that they added a new generation to the iPedal. And I think they talked about over-the-air updates. So I could be misspoken here, but I want to say they almost said that you can do an over-the-air update for your other EVs to get iPedal 3.0. Because like with my car, I'll be honest, you connect to Wi-Fi, it doesn't update every couple of days. I probably get an update once a week from
Like your iPhone.
Pretty much, yeah. A lot of times it just says fixing minor things.
We don't say that curse word in here.
No, I'm not gonna say what car it is, but it's just funny. I did actually talk to a guy from Maserati and said I did get shit for owning the car that I do. So he laughed about it with me. But so that's what they really unveiled, and they did the EV9 Nightfall Edition. So that they talked about that they knew consumers liked blackout packages. So a lot of the car, like black wheel accents, like all black accents you can think of. Even they made the Kia logos on the car, on the wheel and everything black. And then I think it has like 10 more horsepower or something like that. So they didn't say it was like a sport version of the EV9, but they added a little more power to it. And that was their other unveiling, was just the EV9 Nightfall Edition. So obviously we saw the EV9 already.
So what was your favorite out of those?
I would say I'm a big hatchback guy, so I like the K4 hatchback. But if I was to decide between the EV9 Nightfall and the EV4, I would go with the EV4. Maybe that's just because it's something new, right? Because it's something I haven't seen yet. So maybe that's why I would go with the EV4. But it was just really futuristic.
You should definitely have the
car.
consumers survey that one.
They should survey it. I wish I could give them a date that we would see the EV4 and the K4 hatchback, but even James Bell couldn't answer that question.
It's hard. It's really hard.
It's a 2026 model, so technically there's a chance you could see it the third to fourth quarter this year, but if not, you would see it the first quarter next year. It's a 2026 model, but it couldn't actually answer when we would start seeing them on our dealer lots. But they're cool, so I wish I can give the answer on when we'll actually have them.
We will keep the consumer updated with when they're coming in, but we'll definitely tell.
I would imagine in the next couple months.
The timeline, yeah. We'll also have a better timeline. We'll announce different things. They're going to announce. I mean, they have the features. We'll announce them hitting the dealer lots and all that stuff. We'll keep everyone up.
They'll keep us in loop within the next couple months. But the next press conference was Hyundai's, and that was all about the Palisade. So they unveiled an all new Palisade from the ground up. So it's on a
which is going to absolutely crush it. And everyone, I can already tell you the hype here at the store. When I post our video, 3 or 4 people from here go, that car is stunning, and our consumers are going to absolutely love it.
It was beautiful. I wasn't the only person that thought it. People thought it there. Like, the back of it looks like a Range Rover. Automakers take design aspects from other companies.
Yeah, they're no dummies. They want to know where people are, and they want to give that luxury feel. Everyone wants a piece of luxury, and if you can give those lines and design and that appeal to the consumer, so it's going to catch their eye.
They definitely went for the luxury aspect for that car. So, but they didn't just obviously change the entire, because it's from the ground up. So they didn't just change the entire look. right? So they have a different 3-row SUV that you can get, like the Santa Fe, right? So they made it a little bit longer, right? They increased the wheelbase of it. And one thing they did with that is, so the second and third rows are power third rows. So one, it allows the driver to drop the seats and lift them up from the driver's seat. But something that's interesting is a third row, you can actually powerfully move the third row up or backwards about, I would say when I did it, maybe like 3 to 4 inches. So it allows you to either, if you have like an adult in the third row, like, have you ever seen the third row of a Tahoe?
Yep.
Not a lot of leg room. So yeah,
it's gotten better though.
It has gotten better, but like when I sit my dad's Suburban in third row, or me and my siblings who rented a Suburban when we went on vacation last summer, it's not like you can sit in there as an adult, but it's not like it's a crazy amount of leg room. So Hyundai thought into that. They were like, we're going to give you 2 options. Either you can gain the 3 to 4 inches of leg room for if you have an adult in the back seat, or you can gain 3 to 4 inches in cargo space if you're not using the back seat. So that was something they took advantage of with the larger wheelbase. So it's a beautiful looking car from the inside and out. All 3 rows can be heated and cooled. The driver gets like massaging seats. They even did something so interesting with the center console. Like, I'm resting my hand right here. They designed the center console so that it has a hand like resting area. It's like part of the center console is like raised a little bit, all just for the driver to like put their hand.
Because everyone leans.
So it's something so interesting. Like, you know,
the attention to detail is so awesome to see it, because that's a family car. Usually family cars are driven for vacations.
It's a fully family.
And for us, it's like that ride to the Jersey Shore or up to Vermont.
For us, it's a big thing, right?
Because we're Lake George. Yeah. So we're always driving those extra couple hours, and it's to be comfortable is so crucial, especially when you have kids.
So I just found that was such a little aspect, and they made sure to talk about it. So, but with that, they unveiled, you know, the regular gas combustion version of it. The first time they're offering a hybrid in the Palisade, they unveiled that there's a hybrid option for the Palisade, and then they didn't just put an XRT on the Palisade. They now have an XRT Pro version of it. So, and you know, that just gets like a 1 to 2.
I can't wait for that to hit lots. Did they give more detail on that?
Not really. I mean, I know it's a 1 to 2 inch lift, you know, off-roading tires.
We have some meetings on that soon, so.
I believe it. They got recovery hooks on the front and back, like red recovery hooks. So it's off-road focused. I mean, it looks the same as the other Santa Fe's, just that it's a little higher with off-road tires. The trim on the bottom isn't like glossy. You know, they made it like matte, like plastic, and that's all because if it gets scratched up, it's easier to look at scratch matte plastic than it would be if you have shiny panels.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's just like an off-road version. It's the same Palisade, but it's just a little
rugged
off-road.
Gives that family member that dad or the mom, the rugged, like, hey, I'm driving a rugged.
I mean, Hyundai has other XRT models, so even if you've seen like the XRT Santa Cruz, which is what they unveiled last year, like they all follow the same concept. Switch out the bottom panels to matte plastic, get rid of the shiny ones on the bottom, give it a small lift, rugged tires, tow hooks, and now if you wanted to go off-roading, you technically can.
Yeah, or for the hikers, the mountain bikers, they need that little rugged. So before we move on,
they did also talk about one other thing.
Oh, okay, so
they talked about their investments. So they talked about they already invested whatever it was a year or two ago. Hyundai and Kia invested, maybe it was like $12 billion.
Yep, for their Georgia plant.
And their Georgia plant,
which is up and running now.
Where are they building this other plant for $21 billion? I'm trying to think.
Is it Alabama?
I think you're right. I think it's Alabama.
I think it's Alabama.
So they announced their investments in that, and obviously that investment came after tariffs. Yep. Right? As soon as the tariffs hit, they announced a $21 billion investment. So even though Hyundai didn't specifically say in their press conference that this was a reaction to the tariffs, we know it was because that.
Well, so we had rumors that they were planning to build other factories in the States because obviously it's the biggest market for them.
Yeah. And they made the announcement directly after the tariffs.
Yeah. No, but they were planning. Granted, we haven't had much information, but it's good for us. It's good for jobs. It's good for us getting vehicles quickly.
It's not about even necessarily the cheaper aspect of vehicles. It opens up literally how big the plants are. Randy Parker was saying, like, when you go to one of them, it's the biggest thing you can ever imagine in your life. And he's like, it adds thousands of jobs for that area. So it wasn't even
good paying jobs, not just like minimum wage.
Yeah, so
really high paying.
It's not just about them. It's not just the prices they can then sell the cars at to avoid tariffs or anything like that. It's about the jobs that then also adds to U.S. because, like I said, it's their biggest market. So, granted, obviously they probably kill it in Korea.
Yeah, I mean,
I can imagine.
The United States economy and the market for auto is so crucial for the rest of the world. That's why we're seeing this investment now. Obviously, tariffs play a role, but like they understand that if they can't really lose the U.S., we're spenders. We like bigger things. We like expensive things. we need to drive everywhere. We understand it's a necessity of life is owning an automobile. So it's great to have the investment in here, and that brand has done Kia and Hyundai have done a phenomenal job. Obviously, they're sister and brother companies, so they've done a phenomenal job, and excited for that plan to finally get going. Yeah. So before we move on to the EV panel, which I'm very interested to talk about today, I wish I was there to see it and listen to it. Any other brands that were there that you? I know you went and saw some other stuff, but anyone else you talked to?
No other brands had press conferences, but Ford was there, Chevy was there, Mopar was there. The only thing we did, or not Mopar, Stellantis was there.
Yep.
So the only thing we did with Stellantis is they have the EV test track. They've had it for the last couple of years now,
which is cool as hell.
Yeah, it's down in the basement because you're allowed to ride them inside. And so we went into the Scat Pack, the Charger. And it was funny, the woman who was driving us, she went crazy in the thing, like around the turns and stuff like that. We get back, she's like, I didn't even talk about the car. And we were recording it, and Steve's like, that's fine. We're like, what you just did is better than even telling us about the car. It was awesome. And then it was funny, an older gentleman rode us in the Wagoneer. So one, I didn't know the Wagoneer has a 600 horsepower. It uses the same battery of the Scat Pack, just down to it a little bit. He was very boring. He gave more information on the car, but he didn't whip around the Wagoneer like that woman.
Well, I'm glad she ripped it like that for you guys.
Yeah, she went crazy. I have a video of it somewhere, and so Steve. It was wild. Like I was like flying around in the backseat. It was awesome. Really cool. So that's what we did with Stellantis, because when they don't have press conferences, I don't want to say their sections are a little boring, but they don't have anything going on. They don't have a lot of people walking around in their sections. Like they're not really showing off a lot of things. So then for Chevy's section, the two things that caught my eye were obviously the ZR1. All right, they had the engine on display and they had the car on display. They didn't have access to the ZR1. Like I couldn't sit in it or get close to it. It was up on a stand and everything like that. How beautiful did it look? It's a beautiful car.
In person.
It was black with like these baby blue wheels, like forged wheels, and it had blue stripes on it. And in person, it's beautiful. Like it's impressive. Obviously, there's different design aspects to ZR1 compared to regular Corvettes. You have because there's giant intercooler in the front of the car, so you have a bigger vent on the hood. You have, I want to say the Z06 has these vents, but they have added vents on the side of the car for brake cooling and stuff like that. They changed the exhaust portion of it, so instead of like on the Stingrays, you have the two exhausts on each side. It's now just 4 exhausts in the center of the back of the vehicle. So in person, it looks crazy. I like the Z06 and the E-Ray. It has a wide body kit, right? So it's a little wider than a regular Corvette. So in person, it looks amazing. Like it's a really good looking car. And the wheels are just cool. Like they were like a baby blue color. I've never seen wheels like that in a car. So it was really cool. I think the one
definitely show some photos of that.
I think the one they had there, they said was like 184,000, which when I touch on the Maserati, because usually we don't go to Maserati or anything, stuff like that, but no company since we've been there has had a press conference of like that stature. But their press conference was boring. It was like 6 minutes too. So their press conference was boring, but they had a cool car. So
what car was there?
It was a GT2 Stradale. They had the Gran Turismos. The Gran Turismos they've been around for a while. And the GT2 Stradale is, the MC20 that they released a couple years ago?
It's the only car that's probably keeping them alive.
I talked with this gentleman from Maserati for a while. I even got him on camera, but I talked with him for a while about it. And he was honest. He was like, the coolest car they released since this was the MC12, which I had to search up last night with my family. That released in 2005. So they hadn't released anything cool until the MC20. It was like 20 years almost, or 15 years since they released anything cool, a little over 15 years. So the Stradale is just the track version of the MC20, but it's street legal. So the ZR1, which is why I want to mention the Stradale, it's 184,000. Right, it's sub 3 seconds 0 to 60. It has like 1,100 horsepower. Like it's a crazy car, ZR1, and the price point is just wild. It's 184.
Impossible to beat the price point.
So don't get me wrong, 184,000 isn't chump change. Like it's still a lot of money.
But for the performance, it's impossible.
The GT2 Stradale is 314,000. Even the MC20 base is 250. So and the MC20 I think sits at 3.1 seconds 0 to 60. I'd have to get the exact 0 to 60 of the ZR1, but it's less than that. And then the GT2 version of the MC20 is 314,000. I think it drops to like 2.8 or 2.9 seconds 0 to 60 with like 600 and something horsepower. The only reason why it's even able to go that fast with that, not that 600 is a small amount of horsepower, but when you're looking at a lot of like supercars today, they're all over 1,000. Like all of them are. So, but that car was cool. I mean, I sat in it. Most uncomfortable thing.
Really?
Because it has like center race seats in it. So the cushions on the seat are probably this thin.
But are you driving that thing to be comfortable?
No, he said, I sat and he was like, this is a track car. He's like, you're not driving this thing to be comfortable. They dropped off like 60 kilograms in weight and they added a lot of downforce. That's why it's faster than the regular MC20, because they added a lot of like dry carbon parts of it, which I'll get into the dry carbon, which I think other brands should do, because there's something about that in the Alcantara that I didn't know why is in sports cars. Mm-hmm. So they dropped like 60 kilos and added more downforce, and that's how it went faster, even though it's not a lot of horsepower. So it was really about the drop weight, but they took out all the noise reduction. Like all the noise dampening panels that are in cars, they took it all out. So if you were to drive that car on the street, he was like, I'll be honest, this isn't going to be comfortable to drive in. It's going to be loud. There's no noise dampening in the car. Like it's not going to be something you want to drive every day. But it was a really cool car. But what I didn't know, and I wonder if other manufacturers should actually look into this, they added all dry carbon on the hood and stuff like that. The steering wheel is dry carbon and all Alcantara, no leather. It's all for glare.
Really?
So if you're driving crazy in this street legal track car, there's no glare. It's a matte paint color. It's like this bluish purple matte paint color. The carbon on the hood is dry carbon. The carbon on the steering wheel is dry carbon, and the interior is all Alcantara. And he said it's all for glare.
Wow.
It's not even, granted, it looks cool. It feels cool when you're touching Alcantara rather than leather, but it's all for glare. I never knew that.
It is a fun fact.
Yes.
All right. So let's get moving here. Let's touch up and finish up on this EV panel that you
So this was almost sad. It was interesting. So they had an individual from JD Power. They had someone from NADA. They had a woman from New Jersey. All it said was New Jersey Car. So I don't know if it's like a car committee or whatnot. I don't know what it is. So they touched on tariffs a little bit, and they touched on a lot of like the regulations that the government has in place, and then a lot of the regulations that states adopted from California. So I think California was the first state that adopted, I forget what year, is supposed to be 35% of EV sales. I don't know. Do you know what year that is?
2030.
It's 2030?
Yeah.
So they were saying it was kind of almost stupid that 11 other states, there's 12 states now that followed suit with California and have that in place. We are one of them. And so they were posting graphs of a couple different things. So when they talked about the tariffs, they were talking about the prices of vehicles. So, and then they were talking about that from what their knowledge they know of, the EV tax credit might not last that much longer.
Very true.
Which they think is really...
It's up for talks, for
they
sure.
think is really stupid, because they were showing a graph where the average actual sticker price of a new EV is like almost $52,000. I think it's like 51.6. Mm-hmm. The average new car is like 45. But with the tax incentive, the average new EV price is lower for the families that qualify for the tax credit. So now if you take away the federal tax credit and tariffs come into place and some of these cars become more expensive, that $51,000 is no longer going to be less than regular new like ICE vehicles. It's going to be a lot more. So basically, they were
depending
saying,
on how much is made in the United States, it could be 25% more.
Correct. So they were saying, one, not only is the EV tax credit about to go away, the tariffs are going to make these more expensive, and with that, it's almost going to be impossible to hit that 35%. So granted, the closest state is California. Not surprising. They're at 23%. But for us here in New York, I think we were at, I have to look at the graph, it was at like 6 or 8% of our new car sales. Maybe it was 9, something like that. We're under 10% of our new car sales are EVs. So
it is growing though. So
it is, but to get there by 2030 at 35%, even with the tax credit right now and tariffs not affecting car prices, is already what they were saying basically impossible. They were pretty.
It is. It is.
They were pretty much saying it was impossible. And the woman,
I don't think if we could give them away to everyone, I don't think it'd be possible.
No, and that's what they were saying. Like, not that the $7,500 tax credit is giving the vehicles away. It's barely getting them cheaper than the normal ICE vehicle. It's barely getting them underneath that price. Even if you have that, it's almost impossible.
And this is why people are scared of BYD, because they're producing them at such affordable
I didn't know they were so affordable. I didn't know that.
God, crazy. They might have a $15,000 EV.
That's wild.
I swear.
That's
look that up.
I'd have to look it up.
Fact check me. I swear.
If that's true, that's a wild price, and that would make sense why that woman won World Car Price of the Year.
She's yeah.
That would make sense then.
Granted, they're subsidized by the Chinese government.
Yeah. So it was almost a very depressing conversation they were having about the shifting EV landscape, and I think I'm trying to think of what else they talked about with it. But a lot.
But a lot is changing, and we just have to keep our eyes peeled. We'll adapt, and we'll relay the information to the consumer. We're also here to support you and understand. If you don't understand something, the consumer can always reach out. We have professionals, and we deal with it every day.
Yeah.
Some stuff is confusing, so people have to bear with us. Like we're on the run too.
The woman that was from New Jersey. So she talked about how Jersey has some weird policies in place. Can't remember exactly what they were, but she was talking about like if you don't sell enough EVs, like how it's then going to affect your ICE sales.
Yeah. So it's in our state too. So, like granted, it's not full effect yet, but like you have to sell a certain amount of EVs here to earn more ICE vehicles, and you won't receive them. Also, OEMs have like the issue of like, hey, you have to sell whatever this many EVs to sell this many.
She was talking
ICE
about something
vehicles.
with price of it. Like for her state in New Jersey, like something how their regulations with not enough EV sales is going to affect the price of ICE vehicles. I have to rewatch the segment from her.
Oh, it's probably something with being taxed better.
Maybe.
We
So
do
she was
business in
saying-
Jersey, but I'll have to look into that further.
She was saying it's going to be unfair where consumers are going to, if we have a dealer that's not selling enough EVs, it's going to affect their ICE vehicle prices. They're going to come look at my car in my state. They're going to see how much I'm charging for it, or I'm going to tell them I technically can't sell them an ICE vehicle due to however badly it's affecting their dealers, because those regulations are going to affect different dealers differently. It's like some dealers might be okay with how many EVs they're selling. Some dealers might be in some bad shape with how many EVs they're selling. So she's like, we're going to have people going to Connecticut because they don't have certain regulations, I guess, that New Jersey has. They don't have those certain regulations. She was like, they're going to look at the price of our vehicles in New Jersey, or they're going to look at the vehicles we have available in our state, and then they're just going to go to Connecticut.
Oh, that's the same thing with us. So PA doesn't have the rules. We're in the tri-state area.
PA
so
doesn't have it.
Doesn't have the EV rules, and people just go and get a cheaper F-150 down the road.
So she was like,
it's scary.
These regulations are going to affect the sales, which not only does it affect, if you want to say the larger picture of things, it trickles down and affects a lot of people. It affects families. We know how salesmen's pay structure works, right?
Yeah.
So if you have customers that are leaving their state to go buy cars in another state,
And you can't blame them because it's more affordable.
you can't blame them
'Cause they have
But
a budget to
You're
hit.
affecting regular civilians and their families by taking basically money out of these salesmen's pocket and putting it in other states.
But let me circle this back. So in the long game here, we will always be looking out for the consumer, and we will make it right for them so they don't have to go anywhere else. They can shop in their backyard, and we want them to shop in their backyard because community is one thing. You want to support your community. I think most Americans do, especially in ours. It's like everyone's like kind of family around here. We have these small upstate New York towns, and yeah, we're on the borders of PA, Jersey, Connecticut, but we could do the right thing, and we could work with local government, and at the end of the day, we'll make it work for that consumer. But you're never going to stop someone from shopping over borders. Sometimes we don't have the vehicle for them. You can't blame them. They need to have that vehicle they want, or we don't have that special truck they want. There's other things as well, but we will make the price as affordable as possible to keep that customer. So, so to wrap this up here, a lot of good stuff. The EV thing's very interesting. It's something we'll keep our consumer updated with.
I have the video. I'm going to be posting it over the next coming days. I'll post that press conference of theirs.
And also a lot of stuff from you and Steven will be posted on our social channels of sneak peeks, before the public could see it next week, which is awesome.
I think they get access today.
Oh, is it today?
I think they get access from the 18th.
I thought it was this. What's today? Am I mixing the days?
Today's the 18th.
Oh, okay, I'm wrong.
So
yeah,
they get access from today to the 27th. So
and we already started releasing content as well.
yeah, we released the cars that were unveiled, right? So the content we released so far were about the EV4, the K4, the Palisade. Like those are the stuffs that we release now because, like you said, those are the cars that unveiled and that you want to get out there as quickly as possible. We would have loved to get out more content, but from our perspective, I don't think people can understand how much running around we do. Yeah. Just attending the conferences alone on Wednesday was 12 hours. Just attending the conferences alone. And then Wednesday, with attending the auto show and travel back up here, is probably like another 9 hours or something like that. Yeah. You know, you're trying to edit stuff in between. You're editing on the train. Like, you're trying to do stuff so in between and stuff like that. Me and Steve are sitting at a steakhouse. I'm, scheduling a video while we're sitting at the steakhouse. trying your best to try and get out as much stuff basically while you're on the go, because you're just like moving.
And we're doing it for the local consumers so they could have some engagement and have some fun and create some excitement for them.
Exactly.
So, well, we appreciate it. And I know you guys
I got a funny story about the steakhouse we ate at. So you see how my hair is really short?
Yeah.
All right, so we're eating at a steakhouse. The table next to us is probably like right here. A lot of restaurants in the city, they aren't very big, so they try and like jam pack as much tables. And this guy goes to me, he's just like, excuse me. He's like, are you in the military? I'm like, no. He's like, not the Coast Guard? I'm like, no. He's like, Marine? I'm like, no. He's like, oh, most people I see down here with that haircut, they're like fresh off the boat. I'm like, no, I'm not in the military, but you're making me think I gotta like grow my hair out longer. He's like, you gotta watch out.
You are keeping it high and tight.
He's like, you gotta watch out for women. You're either gonna have girls that are gonna gravitate towards you because they think they're in the military, or you're gonna run away from you because they're in the military. I'm like, what the hell? I'm like, this is the most random interaction I've ever had in my life. It was funny though, but so it was a good time.
I'm glad you guys had a good time. A lot of good stuff coming. And some brands really crushing it right now. So,
but I'll say if people want to view the entire press conferences, go to our YouTube channel. Because as of this moment, the World Car Awards is up there. I think it's like a 46-minute long video. Kia's is up there. Hyundai's is up there. They're roughly like 30 minutes. We did post Maseratis. I'll be honest with them. It's a really boring press conference. It's about like 6 minutes.
Kia and Hyundai only.
But if you want to see just a really cool car that was there, just go look at that. Just because the GT2 is a really cool car.
Yeah, and we'll post some of this with the podcast as well. You'll put.
Yeah, I'll put some of it up there. Cool. But yeah, if you want to watch those, I would go to our YouTube channel and you can watch the full press conferences, hear everything they talk about, and yeah.
Excellent, my friend. Well, thank you, Nicky.
Well, thank you.
Thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to like, comment, hit that subscribe button, and follow us at Healey Brothers on all social platforms.